let me ask you something. Have you ever really stopped and wondered how strong you actually are? I mean, truly strong? Because there's a pretty good chance you've just forgotten. You see, we all live our lives with this idea of our own limits, right? It's like a comfortable ceiling we've built for ourselves. But what if I told you that ceiling? It's a complete fabrication. Okay, let's really get into this. That thing you call your best, that moment you say, "I've given it all I've got," it's just a story. Seriously, it's a story you tell yourself. It's a way to feel okay about falling short, a way to pat yourself on the back and avoid stepping into the real fire. What you think is your maximum is just one tiny, flickering star in a whole galaxy of what's possible. The truth is, you don't have a clue what all you've got really looks like.
You see, inside every single one of us, there is this well of potential so incredibly deep, you could draw from it for the rest of your life and never hit the bottom. We've just forgotten how to do it. That story about your limits, it's basically a psychological governor on an engine. It's a safety mechanism you put on yourself, not to protect you, but to keep you comfortable. It's a cozy lie that stops you from discovering just how boundless you really are.
And that realization just completely flips the question we have to ask ourselves. It's no longer about, I wonder if there's more potential inside me. That's a given. It's there. The real question, the one that tests your will, becomes, are you willing to peel back those layers? Are you willing to shut off that governor and intentionally, consciously reach down and start drawing from that infinite well?
So this brings us to this kind of fascinating paradox. We spend so much of our time and energy praying for our problems to just go away, right? But what if those exact things, the pain, the struggle, the storms, what if they are the gift? What if they're the miracles we've been asking for, designed to give us the strength we couldn't get any other way?
The writer C.S. Lewis asked this brilliant question, and it really makes you stop and think. Maybe, just maybe, our biggest chances for growth come directly from the prayers that go unanswered. They come from having to fight through the tough stuff, from finding the value in the hardship instead of just wishing it would disappear. This contrast here shows two completely different ways to go through life. The old prayer is a plea for escape. It's a mindset of avoidance, of running away. But the new prayer, the one that actually builds greatness, that's a request for wisdom. It's not about making the storm vanish. It's about asking for the vision to see the opportunity that's hidden inside the storm. It's about finding the strength that the struggle itself is trying to give you. And look, this isn't just some nice-sounding metaphor. It's a fundamental law of growth. You simply cannot get stronger without resistance. There's a concept for this. It's called anti-fragility. It's the idea that some things don't just withstand stress, they actually get better because of it. Our character, our resilience, our very power, it comes directly from our pain. To pray those things away is to ask to skip the very process that's trying to make you who you're meant to become.
So, if hardship is the forge, then the real work, it happens when nobody is watching. It's easy to look good when the cameras are on and the crowd is cheering you on. But your life, your destiny, it isn't built in those moments. It is forged in the dark. Admiral McRaven just said it perfectly. Your character isn't defined by how you behave when everything is going great. It's decided by how you respond when things are almost unbearable. When that weight feels too heavy, when the path in front of you just disappears into shadow, that is not the time to shrink. That is the time to rise. But how? How do you rise when the weight of the moment feels like it could absolutely crush you? Your mind will start racing. It'll imagine every worst-case scenario. The secret is to reel it back in. You have to shrink your world, shrink your focus so small that the chaos can't even fit inside. You don't conquer the entire mountain in one jump. You win by focusing only on the very next step, just one rep at a time.
And this isn't just about the gym, you know? Overwhelming projects at work, difficult conversations you've been putting off,
life-changing decisions. They're all conquered the exact same way. Not by staring at the finish line miles away, but by owning the tiny little piece of time that's right in front of you. You conquer it 1 minute at a time. And when even 1 minute feels like an eternity, you shrink it down even further. You bring it down to the one thing you are always in control of, your breath. You survive the storm by anchoring yourself to this exact moment. You survive it one breath at a time. This is how you tame chaos. This is how you take back your power, piece by piece. The ancient Spartans understood this. They knew the real battles are never against the enemy you can see across the battlefield. The true enemy is invisible. It's the doubt, the fear, the hesitation that lives inside your own head. And the work you do in silence when no one is watching, that is what creates victory when the lights come on.
Okay, so that brings us to the next essential step, action. All the internal training, all the mental toughness in the world, it means absolutely nothing if you're not willing to actually take a leap of faith. Growth requires you to move forward into the unknown, and usually it's long before you ever feel ready.
There's this famous story about a swimmer, Florence Chadwick. Back in 1952, she tried to swim 26 miles from Catalina Island to the coast of California. So, 15 hours into the swim, this incredibly thick fog rolls in. She's exhausted, she's disoriented, she can't see the shore, and she gave up. She quit. It was only after she got in the boat that she found out she was less than a mile away. Her big takeaway? If she could have just seen the shore, she would have made it.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? Sometimes in life, you're not going to see the shore. In those moments of fog and total uncertainty, you don't need a giant searchlight that illuminates the entire destination. You just need a lantern. You just need enough light for the very next step, the very next stroke. And that is always enough. You can think of this journey as climbing a ladder, where every single rung is there to teach you something. You've got the easy rungs, right? They build your momentum, your confidence. Then you hit a leap of faith, a gap that looks way too wide, and it demands that you trust in what you can't see yet. You'll find shaky rungs that test your composure under pressure, forcing you to find your balance. And then, inevitably, you'll hit the lonely rung, where no one can help you. And that teaches you the deep power of self-reliance. Every single one is a necessary lesson for the climb. What this all boils down to is a simple truth. Being ready is a myth. It's not real. When President Kennedy announced that America would go to the moon, a lot of the technology needed to actually do it hadn't even been invented yet. The yes, the commitment, had to come first. It was the declaration itself that forced the solution into existence. Committing to the challenge is the key that unlocks your ability to solve it. So just say yes, and trust that you'll figure it out along the way. Okay, so we've talked about shattering our own limits, about reframing hardship, acting when no one's watching, and taking those big leaps of faith. So now, let's tie it all together. What gives all this struggle, all this effort, a direction? What's the point? I want you to picture yourself as a ship on a vast, unpredictable ocean. You can't control the winds. You can't command the waves. Life is going to throw storms at you, that's a guarantee. But what you can control is the direction you sail. And having a North Star, a purpose, a vision that's bigger than just you, that's what gives you that direction. And here's the beautiful secret in all of this. You're never actually going to reach your star. That's not the goal. The purpose of having a huge, grand ambition isn't really about achieving it. The point is that it keeps you moving. It keeps you aiming up. It gives meaning to the struggle and transforms you into the kind of person who is capable of making that incredible journey in the first place. So I'll leave you with this one thought. A battle is coming.
Life is going to present you with one. It might be an external challenge, or it might be that internal one, that invisible enemy of doubt and fear we talked about. The question isn't if it will arrive. The only question is, after everything you do in the dark, when that moment finally comes, will you be ready? You know, every single challenge you've ever faced, every mountain you thought was impossible to climb, it's all governed by one simple, unbreakable truth. It's this promise that carries you forward when your lungs are burning, when your legs feel like they're made of lead, and when the very idea of a finish line feels like some kind of cruel joke. And that promise, the one thing that keeps you going, it's simpler than you could ever imagine. And that's it. That is the promise. It's the reminder that no matter how steep the climb gets, there is always a break coming. There's always a patch of ground that levels out, always a moment to catch your breath. You see, the pain isn't permanent. It only lasts until the next break. And believe me, there's a world of difference between those two ways of thinking. But that's the real question, isn't it? Because when you're in the thick of the struggle, when you're just exhausted and completely overwhelmed, your mind doesn't believe in flat ground. No, it believes the suffering is a permanent state of being. So what do? How do you fight back when your own mind becomes your greatest enemy? To really get this, let's go somewhere. A place called Pinnacle Peak. Now imagine you're running up one mountain, then down, then up a second one, and down again. Then you gotta turn around and do the whole thing all over again. You hit what they call climb 3. It's the steepest, it's the longest part of the whole journey, and it hits you precisely when your tank is already half empty. It feels unbearable.
And this is where we break. It's not the physical strain of the very next step that gets us. It's the mental weight of all the steps that come after it. We see the entire 20 minutes, the entire rest of the journey. And that totality, well, that's what paralyzes us. But what if we're looking at it all wrong?
And that brings us to the very first tool in our kit, the principle of shrinking the impossible. You see, the greatest feats of human achievement, they're never about one massive heroic effort. No, they're about the art of turning something colossal into something you can actually manage. I mean, think about an ultramarathon. 100 miles. The number itself is just absurd, right? It sounds like a sentence of suffering. Nobody just runs 100 miles. The distance is way too vast, the pain too immense to even wrap your head around in a single thought.
So how do elite runners conquer this? Well, they're not thinking about 100 miles at all. Their entire world, their whole universe of effort is focused on just one thing, making it to the next aid station. That's it. A place to breathe, regroup, get some fuel. They turn an impossible journey into a series of short, achievable sprints. And this shows you exactly how to apply it. Imagine you're doing a workout of 30 bleacher sprints. At sprint number 13, your body is just screaming at you to stop. The thought of doing 17 more is crushing. So you don't think about 30. You tell yourself, okay, just get to 15. That's only 2 more. You can do that. Then you hit 15, and you celebrate that little win. And what's your new goal? Just 5 more to get to 20. See? You rig the game in your own favor, creating these small victories that build an absolutely unstoppable momentum. Okay, so you've shrunk the task. That's huge. But what about the pain that comes with each one of those small steps? Well, that's where our second principle comes in. This isn't about avoiding pain, it's about fundamentally changing your relationship with it. It's about reframing what it even means to fail. This advice actually came during a workout, right at the point of total exhaustion on a set of push-ups. Instead of just collapsing onto the floor, the trainer said this. He said, "Don't just drop. That's giving up the most valuable part of the whole repetition. The moment you are failing is the precise moment that growth is born. You have to fight until your chest physically hits the floor."
Let's give this a name. Let's call it transformative failure. It's not the end, it's the beginning. It's the breakdown that forges the breakthrough. You see, every setback has the raw material for your comeback, but only if you refuse to just collapse. You have to fight all the way down to get the value out of it. Just look at this comparison. On the left, pain is seen as suffering, a signal to quit. But on the right, it's the sharpening of the blade. It's a simple shift, but it's profound. Think about it. If you're already going to be in pain, why would you leave empty-handed? That messy, brutal descent, that is the very foundation of your comeback.
And this whole idea of reframing, it applies to our past, too. Think of your life as a boat. The wake that trails behind it, that's just proof of where you've been. It's a record, it's an echo, and sure, it looks powerful, but it has absolutely zero control over your current direction. The motor, the present moment, that's what drives the boat. Your past doesn't get to define your path forward. So we have our first two principles: shrink the challenge and reframe the struggle. But honestly, none of that matters without the third and most crucial principle of all: having the courage to simply start. To overcome that inertia of just thinking about it and take that first terrifying step.
It's so easy to look at an expert, a master of their craft. You know, the runner who just glides by you at a 6-minute pace, looking comfortable, confident, and just feel this sense of admiration. We see the discipline, the consistency, the result of thousands of hours of work. But the real raw courage, that belongs to the second runner. The one who is obviously new, who is visibly struggling, who is in a world that is completely foreign to them. They don't have any muscle memory. They don't have a foundation of discipline to lean on. No, their journey is powered by pure, unadulterated courage to face the fear of being a beginner and just doing it anyway.
And that's the thing we all forget. We all start here. Michelangelo actually resisted painting the Sistine Chapel because he argued he wasn't qualified. The first videos of those creators you admire, they were probably fumbling and awkward. The willingness to play the fool is the non-negotiable price of admission to becoming a master. And this is the key. You don't need all the answers to start. When JFK declared America was going to the moon, the roadmap didn't exist. He just said yes first. When an opportunity shows up, hesitation is your enemy. Your job isn't to have all the answers. Your job is to have the courage to say yes and then trust yourself to figure it out along the way. So, we've laid out the entire toolkit. We've seen how to break down the impossible, how to find profound strength in the middle of the struggle, and how to summon the courage to just begin. Now, let's bring it all home and see how you can build this toolkit into your own life. Here it is, the entire strategy in 3 simple actions. First, take that overwhelming mountain in front of you and shrink it all the way down to the very next step. Second, reframe the discomfort of that step not as a reason to stop, but as the very evidence that you're growing. And third, have the courage to actually take it. Ultimately, this whole thing really just comes down to a single question for you. Not for the master, not for the expert, but for you right now. The ordinary is where the keys hang. That path from fool to master is just waiting. So, what is the one step you've been putting off, waiting for that perfect moment that is never going to arrive?
You ever feel stuck? You know that feeling. Like you're just wandering through a desert between your moments of victory, and you start losing faith that the next summit even exists? It's a universal feeling, right? That sense that the struggle you're in right now is somehow permanent. But what if that struggle is actually the path forward? Let's dive in and explore a powerful framework that can completely reframe your entire journey. This right here. This is the core idea we're going to unpack today. It happens to so many of us. We face a period of discomfort, a setback, a challenge, and we completely misinterpret it. We see it as some kind of final verdict on our potential. And in that one moment, we risk giving up on the entire climb. Look, life is a series of peaks and valleys. We all know this, intellectually. But what we tend to forget is that the space between those peaks, man, it can be long and really disorienting. When the journey hurts, when it feels like you're just walking in circles with no end in sight, that pain can feel like it's gonna last forever. It's right there, in that valley, that our belief in the next summit really starts to waver. So, let's start with the first absolutely crucial shift in perspective. We have to completely reframe what pain and adversity actually mean. It is not the universe striking you down. It's not a punishment for trying. No, it's something else entirely. This is the new definition of pain. It's not a stop sign. It's a filter. I want you to think of it like life's great checkpoint. It's designed to separate those with genuine commitment from those who just have a casual interest. It's a test, and it's asking you one very simple question. How badly do you really want it? And this just brilliantly illustrates the two paths you can take. For 99% of people, pain means turn back. It's a signal that something is deeply wrong. But for that 1%, the people who achieve truly extraordinary things, they see it so differently. For them, pain is the price of admission. It's the cost you pay for the best things life has to offer. So the crucial point is, which view are you going to choose? This quote just perfectly captures the essence of it, doesn't it? See, elite results demand an elite mindset. It means when you get to that breaking point, that place where most people would just turn around, you recognize it. You don't see it as an ending, but as the exact moment you can choose to join that small percentage of people who push through. Okay, so let's move on to our second principle and see how this all builds on each other. It's all about where we placed our attention. And to understand this, we're going to use a pretty powerful thought experiment. The moon landing versus, say, your city's traffic. Just think about that for a second. We achieved one of the most incredible feats in all of human history, sending people to literally walk on the moon. And yet, we still can't figure out how to effectively get around town between 4 and 7 p.m. It seems kind of absurd, right? But the answer reveals a fundamental truth about achievement. The moon landing happened for one reason, and one reason only. It was a primary objective. We poured near total focus, intention, and resources into it. It was a conscious, deliberate goal. We shined a massive spotlight on it. And as a result, humans walked on the literal moon. Now contrast that with traffic. Sure, it's a problem, but how much collective intentional focus is truly on it? It's scattered. It's an annoyance we complain about, but we don't collectively prioritize solving it with that same singular will. The focus, it just isn't there. And here's the big takeaway. Your life works exactly the same way. The areas where you see incredible results, those are the areas where you place your deliberate focus. Nobody has ever climbed a mountain by accident. It takes intentionality. So I have to ask, what are you watering in your life? Because whatever it is, that's what's gonna grow. So this is the challenge for you. If you want to increase your net worth, you have to actually look at your bank account. If you want to grow a business, you have to obsess over the metrics. You have to decide which handful of things are your moon landings, and then you monitor them like they are the most precious things in the world. Now, this brings us to what might be the biggest obstacle of all. Even when we reframe pain, even when we find our focus, there's one enemy that can stop us cold. This myth, this idea of a perfect moment to begin. We tell ourselves these stories, don't we? Oh, as soon as I get that expensive camera, I'll start my channel. Or once January 1st hits, I'm finally gonna get healthy. We're lured by this idea of a perfect moment that never ever comes. And it's all because we're afraid of looking imperfect. The only antidote is the simple, powerful decision to just start right now. And that's the reframe you need to make. Starting now doesn't mean you're flawed. It means you're brave. Your imperfections, they aren't liabilities. No, they become the most inspiring, the most relatable, and honestly, the most valuable parts of your entire story. Think about it. Nobody is inspired by the person who had everything perfect from day one. We're inspired by the person who started getting in shape in their garage with a couple of dumbbells. We connect with the author who started writing their novel in a notebook while waiting to pick up their kids. That is where real greatness is born. You need to remember this. Your core talent, your unique ability, it's totally independent of your circumstances. You could put LeBron James on some broken down court with no nets, and he's still LeBron James. The fancy equipment doesn't make the person. The person makes the environment special. So don't wait for the stadium. Play your game now. All right, let's bring all of these ideas together now into one final powerful metaphor. I want you to imagine your life not as a series of disconnected events, but as a grand symphony where every single part contributes to the final masterpiece. The difficult times, the struggles, the pain we talked about, these are the low notes, and they aren't mistakes in the composition. They provide the depth, the richness, the very foundation of the song. They are what make it fuller and more meaningful. And what about the victories, the summits you climb? Well, those are the high notes, but their beauty, their power, their resonance, it's only possible because of the contrast with the low notes. The triumph is just so much sweeter because you remember the struggle. Even the moments when it feels like nothing is happening, the valleys, the waiting periods, they're the pauses in the music, and they aren't empty space. They build tension, they build anticipation, and they give power to the moment the music starts again. All of it is needed. This is the ultimate takeaway. We think we want a life of only high notes, but we don't. That would just be a monotonous, meaningless sound. Your heart, your soul, it needs the contrast. It actually depends on the hardship to truly understand and appreciate the magnificence of life. So as you move forward from here, don't see turbulence as an obstacle to your journey. See it as a necessary part of your song. The storm isn't a detour, it's a verse. The music of your life is playing right now. The only question left is this: are you ready to embrace your symphony?